Dundee, Scotland, a coastal city of 150,000, is in the middle of a reinvention its citizens hope will make it a major center for the arts. It may be too soon for comparisons to Europe's many cultural capitals, but if a new museum is any indication, Dundee might be well on its way.
It's not like any other building in town. The first outpost of London's famed Victoria and Albert Museum sits on the edge of the River Tay in Dundee, Scotland. You can almost see the hull of a ship in the building's design, a nod to the city's maritime past. More than 2,400 panels of layered concrete hang from the exterior of the V&A Dundee Museum, as it's known here. World-renowned architect Kengo Kuma says his design inspiration came from Scotland's iconic cliffs.
Those cliff forms around Scotland's coastline are such an important aspect, such an important quality of this country.
Philip Long is the director of the V&A Dundee. He oversaw the museum through the 3.5 years it took to build, at a cost of more than $100 million.
A great deal of that time was just in constructing this extraordinary external form. It's characterized by these leaning, twisting forms that put enormous pressures, physical pressures, on the building's structure. It's cast in concrete in situ, and that itself was a very complex process.
Inside, oak panels line the walls, and then there's the open space. It's meant to be part museum, part meet-up site, and part living room of sorts for the city. The goal of V&A Dundee is to present the breadth of Scotland's design history and ongoing innovation under one roof. So within the museum, two main galleries carry a mix of objects.
It's reputed that the first shot fired in the American War of Independence was made with a Scottish pistol.
Curator Meredith Moore took us on a tour of the permanent galleries.
So how much of Scottish design plays into a sense of identity for the people here?
So this set of galleries is really the first display that's really looking at Scottish design in particular, rather than Scottish history or Scottish art. And obviously we were keen to think about what is unique about Scottish design and whether there's aspects about our geography or our natural resources or our history and political alliances that have sort of impacted on the particular design disciplines that have become successful here.
There are once daring pieces. Take this 1930s swimsuit manufactured by the famed Speedo company. Speedo was founded by a Scotsman living in Australia. No sleeves meant swimsuits like these were banned on some beaches for being too revealing. The galleries also showcase locally made furniture.
What's this throne doing here?
So this is a chair made in Orkney, which is one of the northern islands of Scotland. And the islanders would make furniture from anything that they could find, so mostly driftwood and straw.
The River Tay once carried the city's main export, processed jute, to the rest of the world. Manufacturing the jute plant into textile employed close to half of all Dundonians at one point, but by the early 1900s, Dundee could not compete with cheaper jute textiles from countries like India and started losing its edge. The city has since struggled to regain that economic strength. Now, local officials are hoping the V&A will be a major part of its revitalization. John Alexander heads the Dundee City Council.
Whilst it's a small institution in itself, it has around 80 employees, the difference it's making to bringing that vibrancy back to a city that for many years had lost, I suppose, its way, cannot be discounted. It is significant and it is something that we're really proud of.
The council and local partners worked for years to bring V&A to Dundee. In fact, Alexander was a child when discussions began on just how to reinvigorate this struggling city.
You do need to speculate to accumulate, and you need to invest in opportunities for your people.
This public garden we walk through is just one part of a $1.2 billion waterfront regeneration investment. The 600-acre area is part of a 30-year plan to build and improve commercial and cultural sites with the hope of attracting tourists and businesses. And 18 years in, there is new housing, a renovated train station, additional mixed-use buildings for retail, offices and hotels, and new attractions like the V&A Museum.
The V&A is perhaps a good example of that aspiration and what we're set to deliver, hopefully over the next 10, 20 years, in using culture and regeneration as a way of reinvigorating both the economy but also the social side of the city as well.
How's it working so far? Well, Alexander points to a 10% increase in hotel stays as one positive sign. And 6 months after its opening, the museum has already welcomed more than 500,000 visitors, far exceeding expectations. That popularity has spurred some to compare the V&A Dundee to the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, Spain, a cultural institution that helped turn the declining Spanish port city into a world-famous tourist destination.
I think it's, of course, a comparison that anybody has to be very careful with, especially in my business, because the Guggenheim in Bilbao has been so successful. But let's not forget that cultural developments in cities have always been a really, really important part of the life of a city. So I hope it's a project which is very much being taken to the heart of people here in Dundee, but hopefully also is attracting interest from around the world in the ability of this place to do exciting and bold things, even though it's a city that's faced many difficulties in the past.